Hello there! Welcome back everyone to Void Dwarf Studios. And today is Age of Sigmar Day. So I thought I would start with a faction that actually really cements the latest edition of Age of Sigmar. This is the faction that really grabbed a lot more people into the story and was in many ways familiar, but also brand new. It drew us in. This is the edition that started the storyline known as the Soul War, where the Nighthaunt, under the command of the god of death Nagash and his Mortarch of grief Lady Olinda, took to the stage as a new threat to the mortal worlds. Now, this is going to be a quick one because, well, for a number of reasons. I figured that it's easier to talk about specific things in a shorter amount of time if I'm a bit more disciplined with myself, as I realise I have a bit of a habit of meandering off the point and sometimes getting lost in the details. So, in this video, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about who the Nighthaunt are. So I'm going to start with their beginnings. So why did the Soul War start? What was it Nagash was hoping to achieve? Well, to answer that question, we have to read the Nighthaunt Army Book, which I happen to have in my possession, as well as the various novels that have come out about Nagash. Now, Nagash wanted to rule the undead. That was no secret. But he had discovered upon his reawakening in the time of Sigmar and his Stormcast Eternals returning to the mortal realms, that not all souls were coming to his realm. Some were being stopped or taken away from him. And this angered the god of the dead. As far as Nagash was concerned, all souls belonged to him. He could not stand the Stormcast Eternals being revived upon death, or the Sylvaneth reincarnating, or the elves taking souls back from Slaanesh that he believed were rightfully his. He couldn't stand it. It angered him. And he'd set a plan in motion long before that suddenly seemed perfect. He had sent his minions, his skeletons, to collect what was known as grave sand, a magically rich resource in the realm of death that can be used to amplify powers, spells, particularly those relating to undead magic, such as necromancy. For Nagash knew that with a great enough quantity of this grave sand in one place, and constructed with the correct spells and sigils, he could literally become the master of death. His powers amplified beyond even his godlike abilities. Nagash's plan was relatively simple. He was to construct a pyramid, much like he had done in the world that was, once used to siphon the magical power of death in the world that was, that allowed him to become the god he became eons ago. He would now use it to siphon the magic of the realm into himself, allowing him to effectively raise all the dead from all the realms. And if it were not for the Skaven, their ability to screw up Nagash's plan by defacing many of the runes inside the pyramid, and the fact that Nagash did not count on the raw magical power he was going to try and control, his plan could have succeeded. But the side effect was equally interesting for Nagash, and there had always been spirits and spectres in the world, in haunted places, where they were trapped within the confines of their domain, ghosts that haunted houses where they once lived, spectres haunting graveyards where their bodies dwell. If a particularly powerful necromancer or soulblight, also known as a vampire, found such spectres, they could, through their magical might, bend them to their will, control them, coerce them, with promises of release from their torment. But when Nagash's pyramid and the magic within it went awry, it sent a shockwave across the mortal realms, and all these spectres, all the restless dead, rose as spectral ethereal hosts, hell-bent on vengeance on the living. Not caring why they were alive again, or what their purpose was, they went forth across the realms and did great carnage, their thoughts only to their own suffering, their eternal torment, and their hatred for all that lives. Stormcast were not prepared. They did not know what they were facing. Many battles were lost because the Stormcast were not ready for this new, incredible threat, the Nighthaunt. And though Nagash's pyramid had not gone to plan, he was pleased by his new army of ghosts and spectres, of the damned, of the dead, and it was now Nagash's plan to use them as his shock troops, his Nighthaunt, the vanguard of the dead, there to scare people literally to death. Terror, harnessed as a weapon, and in the hand of Nagash and his new Mortarch, Lady Olinda, once ruler over old Dolorum. In life, Lady Olinda had been a beautiful woman ruling the empire known as Dolorum, the largest civilization since the Age of Chaos in the realm of the dead. She had schemed, plotted, used her charm to climb the social ladder, leaving behind a trail of ruined suitors and mysterious deaths in her wake. So great was her appeal that she wound her way winning the hearts of the nobles, and eventually the Dolorum prince himself. But her betrothal to the future king ended on the very night when the prince and his father, the High King, disappeared. None knew where they went, or the reason for their disappearance. But in their absence she became the ruler. Vowing to mourn her missing prince, she wore a veil, covering her face at all times as a mourning bride. But this show of sadness and grief was a lie, a trick to deceive those around her. As the Age of Chaos managed to ruin civilization after civilization, she would cry for her subjects who were killed by the forces of chaos in public, but her tears were false. There was no heart behind them, there was no compassion. As far as she was concerned, she was safe in her palace, and thousands died around her of disease and starvation. Her kingdom had worshipped Nagash, but when she tried to make a deal with the plague god Nurgle, then Nagash claimed her soul for his own, and made it so that she would feel all the misery in all the mortal realms. Her punishment was to actually feel the grief that she'd always pretended she had. But now that grief was all-consuming. This curse Nagash placed upon her was forever, and he left her in the ruins of Dolorum to live out the rest of her existence in this fate. But when the Nighthaunt surfaced, when the Necroquake erupted, Nagash found the Veiled Lady still in the old ruins of Dolorum. Swarms of wraiths and spectres flocking to her grief. Like a siren song, they felt her grief, and it drew them close to her. So haunted was her kingdom that even to step foot in it, most died from sheer terror. This was how Nagash knew this was the perfect leader for his new vanguard army. A powerful spectre and Nighthaunt in her own right, cursed by Nagash for her evils in life, to feel all the grief from all the mortal realms. The armies that were scattered, disarrayed, attacking randomly and wildly, became focused, organized, even more deadly. The Nighthaunt are all beings who Nagash decided to punish. Nagash had always punished souls that he deemed worthy of it. Even if they were not worthy of it, Nagash would punish them all the same. If you tried to heal people in life, Nagash would punish you in death, because he believed that anyone who stopped death were enemies of him. Any that did not worship him were enemies. The Stalkers, with their long spears, horse-like heads, human arms, and strange, ethereal bodies, were once hunters. They were once people who enjoyed the thrill of the chase, and so Nagash decided in death that their punishment should be that they have their love of the chase fulfilled, make them perfect for the chase. Those who were executioners in life, whether for just reasons or not, were executioners in death. Those who were healers in life, Nagash cursed them to only be able to kill. And those who die in prison, his vast, vast, vast hordes of chain ghasts, those who die in prison in chains. Nagash deems they should remain in their chains, for they are his servants, and their free will is of no concern to him. Those who were knights, such as the Knights of Shrouds, be they noble or not in life, Nagash changed them and made them into a new form, one far less noble, one devoid of emotion, only terror, only his will, only Nagash. And it seems as though the Nighthaunt are almost unstoppable. For how can you fight what you cannot hit, unless you possess magic or an enchanted weapon? How can you defend yourself in your castle from a foe that just walks through walls? How can you face sheer terror and stand tall? That is one of the great questions now in Age of Sigmar. So, why do I say the Nighthaunt are the faction that made Age of Sigmar more prominent? Well, honestly, it's because it's a new take on an old theme. An army of ghostly spectres. We've seen similar things like this in the Vampire Count army, back in Warhammer Fantasy, and Nagash in the first edition of Age of Sigmar always had access to ghosts and spectral beings, but an army of these? No, this is new. This was a new take on it, and it's refreshing. It's nice. It shows you the character of Nagash, how he punishes anyone and everyone in the way he deems fit. Sometimes it will be a twist of, you could almost say, black humour, such as Lady Alinda, a woman who pretended to grieve in life, cursed to eternally grieve in death. Or those who enjoy a certain thing in life become twisted to serve Nagash's purposes in death. I will go into more characters in future videos, and I will go more in depth into certain units, but I figured this little taste would give you more of an idea of the Nighthaunt. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I apologise again for the shortness of it, but I hope this video will make you interested in what's to come. Please put that like down below if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, because that really helps, and thank you so much to all my new subscribers. I really appreciate your support. I look forward to getting to know you all. Leave a comment down below if you like this new format, and I look forward to making the next video on Sunday. Take care, everyone.